Applying Pythagorean theorem, it says find the perimeter of the figure, round your answer to the nearest tenth. So if I want to find the perimeter, I want to add together the outside. So I'm probably going to do a decimal answer here. So Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared. Here's my a and b. Okay, so 6 squared is 36 plus b squared, 13 squared, gives me 169. That leaves me with c squared. So 169 plus 36 gives me 205 equals c squared. And then to get rid of the squared, we're going to do the square root. So that's gone. So the square root of 205 gives me 14.3. Okay, so now if they wanted to know the perimeter, because we're extending on what we did back in the Pythagorean theorem section, which I think was section 2 of this chapter, they want us to find the perimeter. So they're adding a step to something that we have previously learned. So now perimeter, we know how to do perimeter. It's your distance around the outside. So I've got 13 plus 6 plus 14.3. And I'm just going to go ahead and add those together. So 14.3 plus 6 is going to give me 20.3 plus 13 is going to give me 33.3. Units was centimeters. So that's my perimeter. Okay, so there's finding the perimeter using going through to find that missing side using Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so here's the next one. Find the perimeter of this figure. Round your answer to the nearest tenth. So once again, we get to use decimals instead of that square root concept. So let's see, together, I know I need these broken down, but together this is 9. Just when I go to do my final perimeter, then this is 9. I need to find out the side length. So in order to do that, I see a right triangle right here. Okay, so I'm going to have to do that in order to find what this side length is. Okay, so a squared plus b squared are my two that make up the right angle. So these two. So a squared, 3 squared is 9, plus b squared, 8 squared is 64. That's going to give me c squared. Okay, so 9 plus 64 gives me 73. So I get c squared equals 73. And now to get rid of that squared, I'm going to do the square root to cancel that out. So the square root. Square root of 73 gives me 8.54, so 8.5. Okay, so to do the perimeter, this is also 8.5. I'm now going to add all 4 of these together. So 8.5 plus 8.5 plus 9 plus 9 gives me 35. Dimensions were meters. There's my perimeter. Okay, so they're tying in stuff that you previously learned. Perimeter back in 5th grade is when you, 4th grade probably is when you started doing perimeter. And then now understanding Pythagorean theorem and how you could find a missing side in a situation like here where they gave us the height of the parallelogram, but then not the slant length. Okay, so I want you guys to try this one. Find the perimeter of the figure, round your answer to the nearest tenth. Okay, so what am I seeing? To get you started, this is what I'm seeing. Here's our right triangle. Correct? There's our right angle. And then we've got the bottom that is the hypotenuse. So if I were to like show that flipped around, it looks like this. A right angle and the hypotenuse, and you've got 4 and 4. Okay, I'm just turning that triangle to make it easier for you to see. So go ahead, pause your video, work your way through to find out what this missing length is, and then find the perimeter. Okay, remember, if you get a decimal number, go ahead and round your answer to the nearest tenth. Okay, so I just found out that when I rounded the 5.65, that rounds to 5.7. Okay, so now when I go through to find my perimeter, I've got 5.7 on each of these sides. So I could either add them individually or I can just take 5.7 times 4. And when I do that, I get 22.8 for my final answer. Dimensions were feet. Okay, so that's using Pythagorean theorem to go through and just advance on finding perimeter. Okay, so sometimes they're going to give us some figures where they're giving us a grid and a slant